One of the harsher realities of sport is with the passing of time, people tend to forget who ran second. In Rugby League's Winfield Cup over the last 2 seasons, it's been St George who've earned that unwanted title. But tonight here at the ANZ Stadium, they have an early opportunity to gain a physical and psychological advantage over their arch rivals Brisbane, as we welcome you to our Friday night coverage of Winfield Cup Rugby League and a replay of last year's grand final, Brisbane up against St George. And Ray Warren, one of the advantages that these two teams have is very little change in personnel over the last 2 years.
Yes, they have managed to keep the same players within their ranks. You're quite right, there are a few exceptions to that. But in the 90s, and when you talk Winfield Cup, these two sides, they've attracted a lot of players that just want to stay there. Let's have a look at the sides for tonight, Peter. Brisbane, the only change is Alan Cann comes back in to the second row. Still Willie Kahn in the centres with Renouf out suspended. While St George, the same side that ran on last weekend. So Brian Smith is giving them a chance to redeem themselves out of that loss over Penrith. Incidentally, Pete, you said St George ran second last year. They did. The year before they did. But they didn't run second here in that big match coming up to the semis last year. And it won't surprise me if they repeat the dose tonight.
Well, Paul Vorton, high expectations in both camps, but they've been less than their best in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, Pete, Brisbane aren't playing anywhere like we know they can, the premiers from last year. They've had a draw and a shock loss to the Gold Coast last week. What their problem is, they're playing with a total lack of commitment, and their ball control is very poor for such a side with so many experienced players. Now, St George, on the other hand, they're playing all right. They made enough breaks last week to win 2 games, but they couldn't get the ball across the line. In a hard match tonight, Peter, I think desperation will get the Broncos home.
Well, despite the pre-game hype, I'm sure that in the players' minds, they won't be concerned with previous encounters. They've been less than impressive early in '94. They would love nothing better than in front of over 50,000 passionate fans in Brisbane to get the '94 season on a roll.
Kicking off the weekend, never been so fine. The storm comes and gives it to you quite like night. We got the teams on the field.
The victors here at ANZ in front of a crowd around about 58,000. In fact, it was the ground record. Closely cropped hair, the order of the day for Kerrod. And now St George. Twice the bridesmaid in 92-93. Finished second, as I said in the preview, though, in the last round of 1993. They came out on top that night. And can they win this one? Beaten by Penrith last weekend, and the Broncos, of course, beaten by Gold Coast. And Brian Smith staying with exactly the same St George side that ran on against the Panthers last weekend. So just about set for the kick-off to this big one tonight, the start of round 3 of the Winfield Cup. Down on the sidelines, Gary Belcher.
Well, Ray, both sides smarting after second round losses, and both coaches expecting a torrid affair up front, and so they've named all fresh reserves forwards. Gordon Tallis, the raging bull, you can expect him to be thrown into the fray very early by coach Brian Smith, and so too Brett Gallier for the Broncos.
St George running left to right. Brad Mackay it is to kick off. Greg McCallum is the man in charge. Crowd probably up around that 50,000 mark. I don't think it's around ground record proportions. And so Greg McCallum blows time on, and we're underway. The Broncos, desperate to find the form that has won them the 2 rugby league crowns in recent years. Wendell Saylor, the first man tackle. And now Glenn Lazarus was in that tackle at a corresponding time in the grand final that Jason Stevens did that terrible injury to his hand. So his battle with Glenn Lazarus resumes in this game tonight. This is Andrew G now, 22, 23 metres out from his own line. Now Hancock coming in off that left wing. Brown met him head on, and Barnhill came in to assist. And the Broncos clear now off the boot of Julian O'Neill, a stabbing type kick, which Walford puts across off the boot, and Rod Maybon, one of the new faces in the St George side, is put down, and a penalty goes to St George.
There's the first penalty went against Willie Kahn for infringement in the tackle. So Rod Maybon hitting it up. Khan just holding the man down a little bit too long for the referee's liking. Gary Belcher mentioned the torrid affair up front. We'll see the forward packs for both teams used in contrasting areas. For St George, Priddle, Stephen, as you can see now, working much wider than what we'll see from Lazarus and his charges.
This is Nathan Brown, out and away from dummy half, retaining the number 9 jumper, which he wore against Penrith, and at the expense of Wayne Collins. Now away from Goldthorpe, and Barnhill gets a pretty ordinary pass. That'll be a knock-on, and the scrum will go down. So St George, though they were given an opportunity by Greg McCallum, have squandered that about 5 metres into Brisbane's area.
That's a poor mistake on the second tackle there by St George. The problem was that David Barnhill was too flat. Didn't give himself any scope to run another football at pace, so he naturally dropped the pill.
Brisbane can be expected to come away with possession, and they do that. Kevin Walters switching the point of the attack to Julian O'Neill, coming up on a wide blindside, and O'Neill is put away right on the halfway mark. The Broncos actually registered their first outright win in the lower grade match here tonight, the reserve grade. The Broncos defeating St George by 8 points to 6. As Lazarus takes it up to about 38 metres out from the line. Kerrod Walters through to Langer, on to Kevin Walters, and he's through a gap, outside Goulet, back into the centre for Alan Langer, and he's swamped and put down by Predel, but they're only 15 out from the line. Kerrod Walters goes for a scurry from dummy half. Now they're just inside the 10-metre line. This is the last tackle. Langer grubber kicks. One of the Broncos was taken out of it. Walford tries to get back into the field of play, but it's a penalty.
Yes, Kevin Walters taken out of play there. Already seen Kevin make a break. Will Alfie take a quick tap? Yes, he will.
Cross Kerrod Walters, and he turns it back inside for his brother Kevin, and that's the 10-metre line, and that's their proximity to the goalpost. To the right.
There's a Barney on.
A thundering run by Andrew G. A scuffle in the back play. We'll stay with the action. Kerrod Walters across. And this is Alan Cairn who goes to ground. Still 2 metres out. Barnhill low. Goulet up the top. And they hold him down in the tackle as long as they can. Kerrod Walters to Kevin Walters. And across now. Madison. Madison throws the dummy. Goes through. And Madison scores the try and goes past 350 points in his first grade career.
Well, Terry Madison having a great season. He's played very consistently for the Broncos this year, and very simple play by him. Just stood and ran straight around Tony Priddle. Priddle had been involved in a stink with Alan Langer a couple of minutes before. Look at Madison, just holds the ball up. Coyne was committed to the outside. Priddle was the man who should have got Madison. Well done by Madison.
He went very close to the in-goal line there to improve the position. And what you'll find in the St George line, as play continues...
Rear goals, this will be 349 from right in front, and the Broncos away to a dream start. Just what Wayne Bennett wanted. After 5, they lead 6-0. Welcome back to ANZ, and 6-0 in favour of the Broncos. A try for Terry Madison, converted by him. And 6-0 on the scoreboard. Delights the fans here. Although I must say St George have got quite a contingent of fans here at the home of rugby league these days in Brisbane. The Broncos 27 or maybe even further out now with that run by Andrew G. And away from dummy half, Kerrod Walters. Angling back. Oh, Kevin Walters. Kevin Walters has been tackled and he was buckled over. This will be a penalty to Brisbane.
Scott Goulet, the man being called out here. Kerrod Walters out from dummy half, and a high tackle. You see buckles Kevin Walters. It looked like he might have done himself a serious injury the way that he went down. Unfortunately, he's up and about. I always like to gauge the Brisbane performance by watching Kerrod Walters. I've seen in a couple of games this year where he hasn't run much from dummy half in the first half of the game. Already 2 or 3 incisive darts.
This is G. Oh, barnstorming run. Good, strong stuff. Plenty of enthusiasm in that. And Lazarus puts it down and knock on. Their build-up to this match, Gary Belcher, was it much different than it has been in the last fortnight?
No, Ray, I'd have to say it seemed to be the same at training, but just the approach to the match on match day, I think when the Broncos have got a big game, they get out there and play big games. When they're going to play one of the sides they should beat, like Paris South and the Gold Coast we've seen in recent weeks, and they take that attitude onto the field. But certainly at training, not much different, fairly relaxed this week.
It was interesting listening to a Glenn Lazarus interview as David Barnhill gets through one tackle to go outside the 30-metre line. Lazarus said that they were told by Coach Wayne Bennett to go home and have a good look at themselves individually and work out how they could mould that into a team effort, really put it back on the players.
Jason Stevens now just beyond the 30-metre line. Nathan Brown offloading for Graham Bradley, working in close to the ruck. Interesting to hear Gary Belcher's philosophy on the Brisbane start to the year. And it's hard to disagree. If they're going to be complacent, the Broncos, they're more likely to be complacent against the lower sides. So if they're going to produce, they will tonight against one of the heavyweights, St George. Wendell Saylor rushing away from Ian Heron the first time. It was left to Jason Stevens to make the tackle in the main. They come back to the centre of the ground now for Peter Ryan, and slammed away eventually by Graham Bradley, who had a fine game last Sunday. To the right for Langer on a wide blind, leaves out Kevin Walters and picks up Chris Johns. But
it's on again over here. Peter Ryan really took affront to that tackle of Graham Bradley's, and there was no doubt as soon as Peter Ryan played the ball that he was looking to carry on something with the man at marker. It'll be interesting to see just which way this decision goes. Peter Ryan almost was the aggressor. He was certainly upset at something that happened in the tackle. Ryan goes forward to Bradley. Play continued to the far side. It wasn't long before McCallum stopped play. There you see them. And Ryan looks like to me he's throwing the first punch.
Well, actually, I thought he might have walked forward off the mark and almost looked like an attempted headbutt.
Well, he's got 10 in the bin.
And I think they both have got 10 in the bin.
Bradley and Ryan have both been given the mandatory 10 in the sin bin. It used to be the 5, of course, or the 10, but now it's been laid down that any visit to the bin will be 10 minutes. And so Bradley and Peter Ryan have got time to think about what happened as McCallum talks to Mark Coyne and Alan Langer. And the penalty goes to Brisbane. They take the quick tap and they go towards the right to the eastern stand. And what a sight it is tonight. A sea of faces over there. And now they work back. And Lazarus it is, 30 metres out from the St George line. Forced back in strong defence, but the ball went to Wendell Saylor. Good trick there by Glenn Lazarus. 25 out, St George on the defence again, trailing 6-0. And G gets it to within about 15 metres of the line. He's been prominent, Andrew G. Langer throws the dummy, steps off the left foot, and then a good tackle by Stevens. It really shut Alan Langer down. If he's feeling any pain from that thigh muscle, that certainly would have sussed it out. They turn it over, Brisbane. Mark Coyne comes up with it. He passes to Walford. There must have been a question mark on the pass. And they're outside the 20-metre line, as you can see now.
And Tony Priddle hits one up here. That last pass did look forward there by St George. McCallum was on the spot. Brisbane impressed by them so far tonight. They're doing everything really snappy. They play the balls, they're running quicker, and they're passing quicker. So they look on the ball tonight, but St George fighting back and gaining territory down into Brisbane now.
Goulet is 42 metres out from his own line. St George, they haven't had much of the football in opposition territory. If in fact they have. Now Blake makes an incisive run on a wide angle that's opened the field right up for St George. Goldthorpe holds it back. It floats into vacant space. Barnhill did well. Mackay goes on with it. Heron goes for the corner, puts it on the boot. The bounce was good for the Broncos.
Well, I'm very surprised that Ian Heron kicked the football there. Beautiful work from Barnhill, slipping the ball. Sleight of hand stuff. That's a knock on from Alan Langer. We'll see a scrum feed and should be a win for St George here. Unusual to see a mistake like that, but I thought Ian Heron really had an opportunity to run the football there to look to put a try on. Instead he kicked and there was no problem for the Brisbane cover defence to clean it up.
Well, he was one-on-one on sale and still had Brad Mackay in support, didn't he? So a bit hasty there, and Langer taking his eye off the pill.
Here they come, St George now. Having won the scrum, they go wide to the right on the first play. And Brad Mackay Standing back now to the left, looking for it as Coyne plays it and Maybon is tackled. They're only 7 metres from the line. Nathan Brown, the dummy half, and Blake, the first receiver, holds it back for Coyne. Coyne can't get the arms free. That was a super tackle. Michael Hancock take a bow. Blake goes from dummy half and he goes to Hancock's wing and scores the try. So Hancock doing the right thing on one play, vacating his wing on the other. A human impossibility, and Phil Blake has sussed that out.
Oh, Phil Blake, legend. He's playing well this season. In his 13th season of first-grade rugby league, just picked the ball up, saw there was no one there. There's actually 3 of them there, but Khan, they couldn't get him.
Yeah, Willie Khan actually came into the play. There was nothing on there. One of the markers got held up. He really had no right to score there, but Phil Blake, we always expect something special from him. We watch him play a game of football. We saw it against Eastern Suburbs, a little chip over the top, scored the matching try. And he's got St George back into this game. A difficult conversion. And again, Brisbane will rue the fact that they made elementary mistakes. Firstly down at the opposite end of the field, and then Alan Langer knocking on first tackle, the dummy half.
Ian Heron then to attempt conversion from the sideline, and he's just outside the 20-metre point. I wonder what the closing pool was on Footy Tab for Pick the Margins. They were thinking of exceeding the $1 million. We might contact Footy Tab and ask them just what the final pool was for a record Footy Tab. This is 100 goals coming up for Ian Heron if he makes it. Tough assignment for the century. 21 out, 1 in. Looks okay, but he's just gone across the face. 6-4 the Broncos. 1 try apiece after 14 minutes.
We've tied the series. Now it's time to tighten the knot. Tonight after the footy, we go live to Durban, and from tomorrow we're live each night at 8:30 through to the finish. The deciding test tonight exclusively on 9.
Broncos remember well that they lost that match in round 22 to St George leading up to the semi-finals, where they set the record right. And a knock on by St George sees Brisbane come up with it. This is Alan Cann. I got the impression they missed him. He really adds something to the Brisbane pack, Alan Cann. He was out last weekend. Kerrod Walters a dummy half, and taking it up as Michael Hancock. Now they've got it just inside the 30-metre line, and Kerrod Walters looks to the right for the runner, and it's Andrew G again. Tackled right on the 20-metre line by Goulet. Walters across for Langer. Langer kicks for his winger on the far side. A chance for Saylor, but it goes over that line. And it'll be a scrum 10 metres out that'll restart the game.
Yeah, nice little kick here by Alan Langer. Planned move. Wendell Saylor knew it was on. Unfortunately, the ball just went in a touch. St George will get the feed. But both sides do look dangerous in attack, don't they, when they throw the ball around? And there's been quite a few clean breaks made already.
This is the 10th meeting of the two clubs, or should I say the 11th meeting of the two clubs. And Brisbane head-to-head have the better of it, 6-4. With the only decided match, the one I spoke about at ANZ, going to the Saints. Penalty going to that side now. The Sydney-based team.
There's Chris Johns penalised. I think you'll find him. He's the last man up, holding Brad Mackay down. Milked the penalty a little bit, but it's worked. Not sure if it is the case, but it does look to me that St George are using the blind side much more selectively than what we saw earlier in the season. That ball to Priddle, takes it to centre field. Not going there every second or third play as we saw. Much more as a shock weapon now.
Now Coyne trying to sidestep and get through. They meet the halfway line now. David Barnhill. Brown doing the work at dummy half, and this is Jason Stevens. Rumours are that the Broncos have spoken to Stevens about his future. Very interested in the youngster, apparently. Priddle turning it back when tackled for Maybon to go ahead. He's 35 metres out from the line now as it comes away for Goldthorpe to go to the air, but he keeps it very low. He's looking for Walford, who's powering down. Hancock loses it. Walford puts it over the line, but it's a penalty. Penalty goes to the Broncos.
Well, he's ruled a penalty in favour of the Broncos. Very lucky to get out of that, the Broncos. I think he's ruled that Walford holds Hancock back off the football, and he's dead right. So a good decision in the end by McCallum. How'd you see that one, Sterlo?
It's a tough call. He's right on the spot, Greg McCallum. I actually don't know whether Ricky Walford realised that the football had come across out of Michael Hancock's hands. It looks as though he's still looking at his opponent when the ball is over to the left-hand side and an open game. Let's have a look. He comes down there now. I don't think he's got any idea the football's there. Very good kick. Did put some pressure on Hancock, who you can still see down hurt. He's had a good start to this game, Hancock. One try-saving tackle already and some fierce charges up the middle of the ruck.
Well, Michael Hancock gingerly back on his feet, and I think he might have to come off. Incidentally, that final tool for the Pick the Margins on Footy tab is $1.6 million. That is quite incredible. It's jackpotted into its third weekend. $1.6 million is the payout if you can pick the margins correctly on your own.
I've got no idea what I'm going to do with it all. $1 too, Raz.
You'll be sharing it with us. That's what we're doing.
Alan Can now centres the ball about 45 metres out from his own line. And Terry Madison, who scored the Brisbane try, gets it just a couple of metres further down the ground. Langer calling for it on the right and kicking to that right wing for Wendell Saylor again, and a busy night for Rod Maybon, one of the new faces in the St George side. Ian Heron dropped back to support. Saylor on Heron.
Well, that's great defence from Wendell Saylor, who had a less than happy game last week, and it was well done allowing St George to play the ball quickly. That's the third tackle now. They're 15 metres out from their own line, and some of their players have only just got back on side.
Just while St George are rucking it out, it'd be remiss of me if I didn't mention that the Broncos here tonight paid tribute to three prominent rugby league identities who've passed away in recent times. One was Mick Cullen, a member of the Brisbane District Rugby League Football Club and Australian Rugby League coaching panel. Another was George Haynes, director of New South Wales League. And the other was Doug Daly, the life member and former chief executive of Manly, life member of New South Wales League and chief executive of Manly. And the league world is mourning their passing, and tonight they passed on their sympathies to their family and friends left behind. But of course Doug Daly was in charge at Manly in your playing days, Paul.
That's right, Ray. Look, I never met a more perfect gentleman than Doug Daly. He was a great man for the Manly club as a player and then a chief executive as a Broncos throw wide. Mistake by Khan, but he was a good man, a friend to us all, and on behalf of all rugby league supporters, I pass on our deepest condolences to his family, Gloria, Mark, Phil and Vicky.
That goes from all of us, and I can't understand why Willie Khan would be allowed to play on there. I've seen a couple of pull-ups by the referee out there tonight, one on Glenn Lazarus down in St George's 20-metre area where the ball looked to have gone back. I thought that one was a dead set knock forward. He was unsighted, but he did look to his touch judge. He said play on.
Andrew G comes out of the tackle that brought a groan from the crowd. They thought there might have been a scent of a high tackle in it. Played by Willie Khan on the left of the ground. And again Langer keeps pumping that ball down more to the right of the ground. Saylor is up. Maybon brings it back. And they're about 18 metres out from their own line, St George. Though the scoreboard says they're only behind by 2, they have weathered more pressure. And that is because they've been in their own territory more often. That statistic, that breakdown, would probably be about 60-40 in favour of Brisbane if you had a scale on the territory that has been advantaged by both teams so far tonight. Brisbane with a couple of injuries, Gary.
Well, Alan Cant was hobbling a little bit before, Ray, but certainly I think his fitness is a problem, having not played for a few weeks. Michael Hancock still looking for treatment each time there's been a scrum or a break in play. after that thigh muscle that he copped a Ricky Walford knee on.
Walford is tackled. Talking of that player, there was a suggestion of a shepherd there behind Mark Coyne. They worked at close quarters with the sideline on the western side of the ground. And Graham Bradley now plays it 40 metres out from the Brisbane line. Goldthorpe puts it down for Stevens. Stevens across for Maybon. And Stevens is on his back. He's not at all well, Jason Stevens, as Brad Mackay takes it up to the 20-metre line for the Saints. Stevens gets back on his feet now. 6-4 in favour of the Brisbane side. A try and a goal for Madison and a try for Blake for St George. They use the second man play and Bradley stands before being put away. 19 metres out from the Brisbane line. Brown cuts out Stevens and Goldthorpe puts it in the air. Heron rakes it down. Barnhill has a chance to retrieve. And referee McCallum is ordering the turnover.
I just wonder whether anybody had a hand on David Barnhill there. He had every right to keep the football moving. That wasn't the case. It was a kickback for Ian Heron. He knocked the ball back. Barnhill dives at it. Chris Johns falls over the top of him. I think he's got every right to play on there.
Brisbane then, 30 metres out. Oh, a chance for them. They're on the attack. Brown away for Coyne. They needed quick hands to the right. Coyne takes the tackle, and this will be a penalty for the Saints. Heron will get a kick at goal. That's if they take it. 2 metres out from the line now. They're close to it, aren't they? Away for Hardy. Now, Goldthorpe tries to bust between Langer and Peter Ryan. Hardy a dummy half. Now for Stevens. Stevens is put down. 5 metres out from the line. Coyne gets it over the line. Well, the Brisbane defence, they were entitled to defend against that. Marker defence obviously went to sleep. And Saints hit the lead after 24 minutes.
Well, whoever made the decision is a dead-set genius. Mark Coyne with Brian Smith, the coach, no doubt. Some very flimsy defence. Peter Ryan once again going for a big hit. He's the man who copped up possession a couple of minutes ago to give St George a chance.
I thought the second marker was a little bit lazy there as well, Paul. It was a bad missed tackle there, but it might have been Alan Ken or Andrew G coming across. No, it was Ken. It was a little bit slow in coming. He went the open side by the time he'd come back. Mark Coyne had done a very easy job of going up the middle of the ruck.
Back at the stadium here in Brisbane, in front of a crowd probably up around the 50,000. Brad Mackay taken from the field just prior to that break. What's the story on him, Gary Belcher?
Ray, he tells me he's just twisted his ankle and certainly wants to get back out in the field, but the way he was hobbling, I suspect it might be a little bit worse than that. I should mention also, it's just started to rain here, so a slippery football.
We'll get that expensive wet weather gear that we've bought for you down immediately. Oh, what a pass by Stevens, supported by Bradley. They won't catch Blake. Oh, Blake, he's very fast, and he scores. St George, they get their third try, and Blake gets his second.
Oh, St George, they're on fire, the Dragons, carving them up. Jason Stevens, what a pass it was by him. The big prop, no wonder 6 clubs are chasing him. If he can do this, front on, straight through Alfie Langer, got the arms free. Bradley supported from here to Blake. It was all over. Blakey, no one catch him over 50 metres on this park tonight. And that's his second try.
That's why Jason Stevens is one of the hottest prospects in the game at the moment. The ability to bust the line. Have a look at the way he draws 2 defenders. He comes up now. We freeze it there. You see the outside man in Kevin Wallace. He has to come in. As play continues, that means there's going to be a break on the outside. That Brisbane player at the back there, he was very slow, that man there. And the inside pass now was open spaces. But when you've got a man who can take the ball forward and draw a couple of defenders and pop his arms like that, and especially running at the inside men, it's an enormous advantage. And Jason Stevens, he's already won 1 man of the match for us this year. I don't think it'll be his last.
Now Ian Heron from right in front should be able to reach that milestone. Phil Blake, one of the fastest men in rugby league over a short course. And talking of that, of the equine variety, you'll see all 8 races tomorrow live on Channel 9 from Rose Hill on Golden Slipper Day. Heron gets the goal, and St George lead 14-6. Here's how it happened.
Yeah, he's a good player, Jason Stevens. Gets better every game. Every year he goes along, he'll be one of the best props Australia's seen if he can continue that form. And Phil Blake will be the best backer-upper in this St George side, no doubt about that. He's got the most speed. And away he went.
Way again now off the boot of the Broncos. The next chapter of this game starts to unfold. Maybon came back with a lot of zest. Tackled just outside his 20-metre line, getting it out from that danger zone that we talk about. Priddle thought about sending Big Goulet down the ground. He held it back. Goldthorpe unloads wide for Hardy to go up the centre. And the Broncos at the moment are very much on their heels. Barnhill, they've got a roll on St George. The confidence is up. Everybody's running with a lot of urgency, and that could signal more is to come. Stevens played it forward. No markers. The referee said play on. Goldthorpe stabs it down into the bottom corner and finds the line about 8 metres out.
Well, that's just about the perfect set of 6, isn't it? The restart in play, no mistakes, hitting the ball through their forwards. And finally, on the last tackle, Noel Goldthorpe just drilling the ball down, giving a chance to his chaser coming down in Walford. And if he didn't get there in time, the ball over the sideline, they now get their defence set for the scrum.
3-2 scrums to St George.
Brisbane did lead 6-0, didn't they?
You're not wrong, Fatty. You've got a brilliant memory. Oh, God, your memory's good.
What's your name? Neville?
Well, Fatty, let me ask you a question about Willie Kahn. It was interesting, Craig Coleman after the Gold Coast game last week saying that it was much easier to handle Willie Kahn in the centres because they could gang tackle him better. We haven't seen a lot of him attacking-wise. Defensively, he's been very strong.
Well, I'll tell you why, because Willie Kahn plays right wing. Now, last week and again tonight, he's playing in the left centre. And no doubt when he runs down the right-hand side of the field, because of his right foot step, he's a lot more effective. And I think he's totally ineffective, as for example there, as he got smashed by Walford down the left-hand side of the field as a centre.
Langer now. Sending it down into Ian Heron's wing. He's over on the eastern side of the ground. And there does seem to have been some kind of an attraction to go to that side when they have been kicking. St George, Brisbane I should say, to the Ian Heron wing.
It's Jeff Hardy on. Jason Stevens has left the field. And Gordon Tallis is also on, looking to support outside Scott Goulet there. So some fresh troops for the St George side.
Keep an eye on Tallis. Here he is with the ball now. I was about to make the comment, if we isolated Gordon Tallis on his own camera, here's a penalty coming up and there's punches being thrown. Talking of Gordon Tallis, he's right in the middle of it. Now little Walters, Kerrod Walters, decides to take on Big Priddle. He'll need a ladder to get up and hit him.
Well, he saw Bruce Sinclair handle Priddle a couple of weeks ago. Thinks I might have a shot at him too.
Well, that's the smartest thing in the world. Plenty of words being mouthed out there, but I think you'll find that it was the Brisbane player at fault here on the tackle on Tallis. It's Alan Cann on the outside, Terry Madison. Alan Cann, the big roundhouse there. Fortunately it missed Tallis, but didn't appreciate it too much, and he throws the first punch, but I do think it will be a St George penalty. Plenty of players looking to get involved. Maybe Tony Priddle I'll be looking for no matter what happened in the East game. There's Noel Goldthorpe.
Nathan Brown has been called into the committee meeting. So, natives have got a little bit restless here. Here was me about to say to you, if you could put an ISO camera on Gordon Tallis, you'll see a man that really involves himself. This was his first touch of the football. The super sub. Queensland origin. Alan Cann on the end of it, and another Bronco came over the top and just peppered a couple of rights to Tallis's right ear. McCallum's had one of the more fiery matches that we've seen in rugby league in recent times to control here.
As I mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of hype coming up to this game.
He's got the Steve Roach eyes, Gordon Tallis.
That's scary, isn't it? Well, it's going to be, yeah, it is a St George penalty here. and everybody stays on the field.
Steve Roach's eyes looking like poker machines. Keep going around.
Crowd getting really involved here, Gary Belcher.
Plenty of emotion from the crowd right from the start of the game. I think that's why there's been a little bit of spite out there tonight. Certainly there's a lot of feeling between the two sides, having played the last couple of grand finals, but the crowd as well are hyping them up.
St George, having taken the free kick, they work wide across to young Tallis. He'll never give up. On every play, he plays it to its nth degree. Legs keep going, body keeps moving. You've actually got to tackle him and put him away. Goldthorpe comes across the ground. Goulet! Maybon! 12 metres out from the line. Saints are really rolling now. Brown, blindside for Hardy. Turned in for Tallis again. He's been there 5 seconds and handled the ball 3 times and been in the blue at the same time. Now Blake. Cross and out for Goldthorpe. He shows it to Priddle, and then Coyne is put away. Goldthorpe that was meant to be before the assistant commentators jump on me. Goulet. This is the last. Goldthorpe will go to the air, I think. Here he is. And he puts it right on the goal post. That's a good kick. Is it too deep? No. Yes. Heron came down with it, but he was over the dead ball line.
Well, the Saints players got to it first, but unfortunately for them, he was over the dead ball, so no try. It was a good-looking kick by Goldthorpe. Travelled through the sticks, and there was Heron. Looked down, saw the line.
Just about caught it by default there, and we are into the final 5 minutes of this first half. Just over 4 to go. It has flown. Plenty of action out there. Pretty fiery at times. Brisbane trailing by 8. Would love to put some points on the board just to arrest this 8-point deficit that they now face.
I think they might have been better off leaving him alone. Just don't touch him. Don't upset him. Gordon Tallis has really fired up this youngster, this boom young player. I can't believe the number of times he's been involved in the game since coming on. Mark Coyne. Walford tries to stand Willie Kahn up, but Kahn, as Peter pointed out, strong in defence. We certainly lose some of his attacking talents. Goldthorpe across again for Gordon Tallis. Being hailed, as I said in the telecast last Sunday, as the new Rocket Ready. And that is an enormous rack. Goldthorpe playing better today, or tonight, as he gets back into match fitness following that injury. It saw a slow start to the year for him. Brown goes to the blind side, Grubbers off the left foot, and Brisbane again. Battle stations, Peter Ryan did well.
Yes, Saints continue to put the pressure on Brisbane. And Brisbane are not handling it. Too many handling errors. A lovely little kick there by Nathan Brown. And well handled in the end by Peter Ryan over there in cover. Good second row play by him.
(28-8). Brisbane won the 92 grand final, 14-6 last year. So they are getting closer, the Saints. And on what we've seen so far tonight, I think they might be firming in betting. Talking of betting, the interstate betting shops had Brisbane 9-4 on to win this one today, and 13-8 St George. 9-4 on the Broncos, 13-8 St George. Short ball, Goldthorpe away for Tallis. Tallis is put down 12 metres out from the Broncos line. Brown to the right. Goldthorpe holds it back, draws the defence. Hardy slams it up to the 10-metre line. Players in the centre of the ground. Half-time is nearly with us. Brown out for Priddle. He'll be hard to stop. Brown backs him up.
That was a good tackle there.
5 metres out from the line, not even that. This is the last. Goldthorpe with a grubbing kick. And that will be a penalty. That's stupid play, really.
Yeah, it's good, well given penalty there by referee McCallum. Yeah, there's a good tackle there by Chris Johns a second ago. It saved a certain try. And he was tackled in goal there and dragged in. So some ordinary play there by Graham Bradley.
I suppose it doesn't really matter, given that the timepiece shows that there's only 45 seconds remaining in the first half, but no value in that.
Well, Bennett will be disappointed with the way the Broncos, their last 25 minutes of the first half has been very, very ordinary. And that's why, look, another mistake under no pressure at all by the Broncos, and St George, well, they get a chance now.
Goldthorpe comes in on the blind side. A good pass for Ian Heron. He leaves the ball behind as he goes over the sideline. But it's the Broncos with it. Sailor. 3 tries to 1 tells the story. Brisbane scored first. They got away to a delighting start for their coach and their fans. But then St George came back and they rallied 3 times and they put the ball over the line. Blake twice. Johns puts it down. Blake comes up with it. 20 metres out from the line. Bradley, Brown, Hardy, Goldthorpe, Goulet outside, robbing kick. Wolford goes fast, but Julian O'Neill takes it, and that will see us to the half-time siren, which it does. A great first half for the Dragons. 40 minutes that had plenty of spite, plenty of fire, but St George 3 tries to 1. And they lead 14-6. We'll take a break and be back with Sterlo and Fatty and more of Nine's Rugby League coverage from ANZ Stadium in just a moment.
That's a good life to really living. That's your sunshine. That's your good times. That's you, Queensland, and that's your powers. And that's better. That's the good life.
Welcome back now, the second half, and Brisbane, they are playing the catch-ups. They're down 14-6. And this is one of the reasons. St George playing very confidently. They're big men, one after the other, driving it at them. And the question is, can Brisbane come back? 3 tries to 1 down. And I would think that Wayne Bennett had plenty to say at half-time. Gary Belcher, as a matter of fact, of course, is part of the Brisbane unit. What was said at half-time, Gary, are you able to tell us?
Yes, Ray. Well, he stated the obvious. He wanted better ball control in their 40-metre zone. He wanted them to stop getting sucked into St George's niggling tactics and fighting. They have got a bit of a problem. Terry Madison's gone off with a shoulder injury. I don't think he'll be back on. That leaves a gap there in their goal-kicking department. Perhaps Alan Langer will take over that. St George, well, I've probably got a better chance of winning Lotto than getting in their dressing room. One of the tactics, apparently, is more dummy half running.
Kevin Walters is not out there, Gary. He actually walked out for the second half and then came off, replaced by John Plath before they started. What's wrong with him?
Well, he was asked the question. I'm not sure what the injury is, but Wayne Bennett certainly asked him the question, are you ready to play? When he first went off, he said, yes, I am, but obviously he's had a bit of a think about it. And Wayne said to him, I want fit players out there that can do the job for me. So Kevin Walters is being pretty honest, I think.
OK, well, Mark Hone is on now. And in back play, Michael Hancock again is in trouble for Brisbane.
Well, he's limping fairly badly over there on the left wing. Talked about the goal kicking, Gary. I would be betting that Julian O'Neill will probably take over in that role, as there's space here for Maybon, but Khan's got him down low.
Yeah, Fatty, you're actually probably right. I forgot he was on the field. I know when Alfie did the kicking a few weeks back, it was Paul Hoff playing at fullback. So, yeah, Julian O'Neill for sure.
Mark Coyne now playing it for the Dragons. And short passing out for Goulet to stand, offering it around. And this is Barnhill that eventually crosses the halfway line.
And if Brisbane continue to come up in a staggered fashion as they did there, the short passing game of St George is just going to flourish. Another good ball on the blind side, a better one inside. That's touched by a Brisbane player, but it's play on. Under Sailor getting away from Jeff Hardy. And a good run from Sailor, centre forward, 41 out.
Quick play the ball by Sailor, and now Kerrod Walters, trying to keep the pot boiling, has made the mistake.
Well, sometimes your enthusiasm overrides your technique, and I really think that we've seen that on 2 occasions. Firstly with Alan Langer on the far corner just before a try, and this time Kerrod Walters, it was a quick play of the ball, he was looking to take advantage of it, took his eye off the ball, came up with the mistake.
Saints with a good opportunity. This is their first tackle, and they're 40 metres away from the Brisbane line. Jeff Hardy now takes another run towards the blind. On the eastern side of the ground they are. Nathan Brown working it back for Phil Blake at first receiver, popping it up for Goulet. And the sound of the whistle. And this will be a penalty against Brisbane, against Glenn Lazarus. Swinging arm or a punch in the tackle.
To McCallum.
It may be a fairly obvious statement, but with a 10-point deficit facing them, it really is Brisbane that needs to be the next scorer.
Opens the mark.
They won't get
Outside the 40. Oh, shut the gate. Have a look at this play. Oh, Carl Lewis. Don't worry about Carl. I'll back Wendell.
Oh, Wendell.
Sold 50,000 at ANZ at the moment.
Well, he had a shocker last week to Paul Blake, but he's made up for it in one fell swoop. What about this for a try? An 80-metre job. And he's been forgiven for last week's game. Gets the Broncos back into it because they were on their heels, the Broncos. Just the gap there, big gap straight between Tallis and Bradley, and away he went.
Get that little horse out. Get him out and do a lap.
Well, when you mark up in defence in the back line, you want to get outside your man, but they overdid it here. We'll see. If we freeze it there, look at how wide the first St George player is. Normally the lock forward will come around here. He's slow in coming. I think Tallis finally comes. Eventually, Barnhill had to make a despairing dive. Well, he didn't even leave the ground. But once Wendell Saylor was in the clear, Ian Heron, not a noted speedster, but he was never going to catch him. Walford didn't pick up a yard either. So a terrible breakdown in communication and defence from the scrum base. Much too wide the first man, and no one coming from the scrum base in cover.
Well, it was the back row of the scrum. In actual fact, Tallis chased, but he was the front rower. The second row of Goulet, and I think Blake was at lock. I think he's suffering from a hamstring injury as O'Neill converts a simple conversion there. And it's now 16 points to 12 in favour of St George.
There he is. He does the lap of honour at the 49th minute. He's had a long time between runs, the little bloke. 16-12. The Dragons over the Broncos. Friday night football. And what's the story on Phil Blake there, Gary Belcher?
Well, Ray, he's hobbling around with a hamstring injury, and for that reason, he wasn't standing at 5'8" from that last scrum. He packed in at lock and pushed another player out wide. I think that's why the break came. Graham Bradley had to play tighter.
Well, that's also the problem with a man going into lock forward, not used to scrum situations. The halfback always stays the blind. The lock forward goes the open, breaks before the ball's even left. And that's why Blake was AWOL. He probably didn't know his assignment.
Mark Hone now drives it over the halfway line. And you can almost see this Brisbane side starting to lift. Langer's kick has got a good chase on it. In fact, he put the chase on the little bloke. Good play, Alan Langer. Walford now wrestled down by Langer and Kerrod Walters. And they're back inside their 10-metre line. Ian Heron gets it 15 out. The crowd roar. Brisbane making some good tackles. Priddle now, 20 metres out.
Well, there was 3 in a row from Alan Langer from marker, and that's the kind of inspiring play that they look for from champion players. He came up with it, Langer. He led the chase on the kick, came up with cheap tackles. And they have lifted Brisbane, and not just on the scoreboard.
Goldthorpe clears. Wendell Saylor now. The crowd rose. I thought he might have been going to put them back to back. Hone playing like a man that would like to be in the run-on side. G. Well done, Kerrod Walters. Dummied and cut out Langer. Willie Kahn. Wouldn't he like some more territory to work in? They worked the blind, Kerrod Walters and Wendell Saylor. Ian Heron makes the tackle, but they're 20 metres out. This is the last. Langer. Wide kick. And almost coming off for Brisbane. Mistake by St George. Which way will he rule? There's a double knock on here.
Well, I think it will be from St George. The knock on, so Brisbane will get the feed they had. This is a very good kick by Langer. Another planned move. Hancock was onside, no doubt about that. Went up it and forced it backwards. But the knock on comes from Coyne, towed through, and there it is there.
Scrum. Won by the Broncos. Langer out for Platt. Now Johns. Centre of the ground. There's the wide shot. O'Neill. Pulled down by Gordon Tallis in 41. Bradley. Now the forwards lay a move on. Andrew G almost strolled over. Walters goes wide. Langer steps off his left foot and comes back inside. Bradley again in the defence. From dummy half, Kerrod Walters. Kerrod Walters could see the line, but forced back. Frustration on his face. 5 gone for Langer. Grubbers ahead. Chance for Peter Ryan. Shut down by Maybon.
Excellently cleaned up there by Rod Maybon. And St George weathered that storm. I don't think it'll be the last time we see the ball kicked high to Ricky Walford's wing. He's a fine player, but I've never thought that he got up off the ground particularly well. And I think Brisbane will have seen that and maybe direct something his way again.
Walford gets it outside the 20. St George, they need to play no mistake football in this area. That's what Brisbane are hoping for. Keep them up here, hit them in defence, work for the mistake. Hardy is out wide, but they're only on the 30-metre line, and this is their last tackle now. Goldthorpe driving it and keeping it low, and O'Neill doesn't want any part of it.
I think that is a good kick too. The one thing that St George needed was a rest. They're out on their feet out there. They've been under enormous pressure. They really didn't want to have to face straight away 6 more tackles from the Broncos, who are looking to throw the football around. They're winding everything down here. St George quite happy to have this break as the scrum is setting.
Don't forget, tomorrow on the wide world of sports, you'll see the entire coverage from Rose Hill of Golden Slipper Day. 8 races, 8 fantastic races. The Slipper, the BMW, all the stars in action tomorrow. And you'll see it all on the wide world of sports. The cricket tonight, the Slipper tomorrow, Eastern Creek as well, and then on Sunday again. It's a feast of sport, isn't it? A great weekend.
You're a good judge, Rabs. What can you put a mock on something in the Slipper for us?
I'm going to back Mr. Vitality and Poyak. This is Lazarus to the halfway.
The trainers of those two just fainted.
Where's he working with them? I'm stuck with him, you wouldn't believe it. Ryan back to O'Neill. O'Neill brought down, 38 out from the line. Langer now, keeping it low, punching it over to that corner, looking for Wendell Saylor. Maybon, a little bit of hesitation in the way he picked it up, but he's back safely into the field of play.
Yes, he did well because there was some pressure on him, and he kept down low to get back out over the goal line. And Heron.
Oh, the flag's gone up.
Oh, he's done it. He tried to go out, and he did in the end.
This could be one of the biggest decisions of the game, this one. He really took a chance here, did Ian Heron. It looked as though he'd got away with it, but as you can see from the arm of Greg McCallum, he signals a Brisbane scrum feed. Why you would ever got up and tried to make some more ground there, I will never, ever know. And there's the hand going over.
Well, whose hand is it?
Exactly.
They attack from the scrum win, Brisbane. Julian O'Neill getting involved. They've got another 5 to go. 22 metres out.
Tell you what, we'll have a look at that again if we can, because I'm not sure the hand belongs to Ian Heron. It doesn't matter now because the ruling's been made. This is Mark Hone, 12 metres out from the Saints line. Langer back on the right. John Plath pulled down by Graham Bradley. Sloppy played the ball. Walters away for Langer. Runs to the defence line. Gets around Goulet. Draws another. Floats the pass out. Hancock is close. 5 gone. Walters kicks across the ground, and Goldthorpe was there like an Australian rules fullback to take it back.
And what a terrible kick there by Walters. Had to give it some height if he wanted to put it across the face of the goal line. It gave it no chance at all.
It's when you kick the football, you've got to kick it so there's some pressure on the opposition and you've got a chance of getting the football back. Nobody knew about that kick from the Brisbane side and all the pressure off. Great tackle from Mark Coyne and Ricky Walford on the far side. Goulet now taking the ball forward. They've weathered a storm, St George. I think it's the last one.
But what Brisbane are doing in this half that they didn't in the first half is they're completing their sets of 6, and that is putting a whole lot more pressure on the St George side defensively.
Goldthorpe, charge down attempt by Galia. And now Julian O'Neill comes running back to the 40-metre line. Stevens is back on, Priddle is off. Saylor has got 3 or 4 defencemen on him. Brisbane attack line, if I can use that expression, it seems to be all over the place. Oh, that's a good tackle. Who is that, Stevens? Yeah, Jason Stevens on Chris Johns. Kerrod Walters is very busy, isn't he? Lazarus gets a pass back on the inside. Chris Johns is the man to play it. To the left for Langer. Holds it back, drills the pass to Ryan. Ryan for Platt. That got knocked down, did it by Goulet. We'll see what he rules. He's ordered a knock on against Brisbane. Crowd don't like it. By the way, 37 3/4,000 here tonight.
Looked as though it might have been 6 again to Brisbane here. The pass back inside. Well, I can't see a Brisbane knock on there.
No, there's dead set no knock on there.
If there was any knock on, it was that came off the fingers maybe of Scott Goulet. But they get the feed, St George. And this is Mark Coyne. Well, Ian Heron is breathing much easier, isn't he? Nothing really eventuated out of that indiscretion of his, if it was him. Walford now. But the point is we can put it to bed because it didn't have any effect on the game. Bradley. St George getting it up towards the halfway. They've partly weathered the storm as Brown throws a pass of about 20 metres and Goldthorpe drives it down, but he kicked it straight to Julian O'Neill, who let it bounce, and Brown makes the tackle around the bootlaces. 28 out from the line. Michael Hancock, he was the only man back to take the play forward.
And that to me is the difference between Brisbane this year and last year. Even now they're still bunched. Look at them. There's no opportunity to go wide, and that's when they're most potent, early in the tackle count with their speedmen.
Saylor.
Well, still, I think possibly in their favour. There's no Kevin Walters there and no Steve Renouf. And that's they haven't got the firepower out there maybe to throw it wide.
And this may be too. We saw at half-time the statistics. They've done a lot more tackling. And fatigue has got to play a part. Tough to get back when you're a little bit tired.
Mark Honer's made a difference. Great pass. Langer did well. This is Galia.
Yes.
And Langer's been taken high.
Yeah, Goldthorpe got him, and Goldthorpe gives Alfie a pat on the chest. Didn't really mean anything by it, but still the penalty's gone to Brisbane. So they're on a roll now, Brisbane. Little man on little man it was. As Alfie was nearly put through a gap and right around the Gregory Peck there. Didn't hurt him.
Yeah, it was good to see him play on, wasn't he? He didn't try and milk the penalty. It was an obvious one. In Alan Langer's mind, he wasn't trying to get the man penalised. He was just looking to continue play.
He'll play on now, though, because they've got a great attacking opportunity in front of them. That's the first. And they're 15 out from the line. Mark Hone takes the second play. That's the 10-metre line. They're in the centre. Langer around the back picks up the third runner, and that was Julian O'Neill. There's the line. They're on the western side of the ground. 37,000, willing them to score. Langer across to John Platt, and Platt is put away. No gain in ground. If anything, a bit of a loss of ground. Langer now, out and away to the right. Walters holds it, goes himself, floats it out. Saylor gets a bounce, but he can't hold it. Pass went forward, said McCallum anyway.
I can't remember the last time St George had the ball over Brisbane's halfway line. Walters nearly getting around Jason Stevens or Graham Bradley, and that pass going well forward. Only got 17.5 minutes left on the clock. Still plenty of time for both these teams to come up with something special to win this game. Has been very physical.
Barnhill is out to the 20-metre line now. Nathan Brown, the dummy half, has played well for St George. Goulet out wide, taking the tackle and dropping it down for Jeff Hardy. Hardy met by Khan. You made the point that Brisbane are missing Renouf. I agree entirely. But I also think the change of Khan coming into the centres is another minus for them. I know it's probably the best option for them, but with Renouf out and moving Khan into the centres, their attacking flow seems to be punctuated or something like that. The kick in general play, Sailor.
He took that so casually there, Wendell Sailor, and nearly went into touch because of the good St George defence in Heron and Blake. Coming through at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just have a look at Sailor.
Wasn't he nonchalant about this?
Well, he's willing it to go out. It was never going to go out, and he was lucky to survive that.
Well, that's where we are now, just outside the 20-metre line, Brisbane's end of the ground. As Lazarus heavies it out to the 30-metre line, and Andrew G does the same. A couple of big Clydesdales. Up the middle they go.
As Alan Langer kicks the ball, drives it down, Rod Maybon comes across on his own 20-metre line. Now it's an easy game from the stands up here. We've talked about the Willie Kahns and missing of Renouf and that. But to me, a man who can never be underestimated is Terry Madison. I really think they've missed him out there. The link that he provides between forwards and backs, his ability to make a bust, he put on the first try. He's the man that I think they're really missing. And one of the lower profile players in this side, I suppose, when you think they're match winners.
Goulet. Not very often do you see him taking the first pass off the ruck. Brown, so often coming up at first receiver in the second half. Goldthorpe has put away 40 metres out. Brisbane are on their heels. They're backpedaling. Goldthorpe gets an ordinary pass. He's still able to get the bomb in, however. O'Neill puts it down behind him. Hancock. 20-metre line on your screen. Brisbane's end of the ground. Sailor now, who put them back in the game with a chance.
Well, they used up a lot of juice of Brisbane trying to get the ball over the line. And now with, 14.5 minutes remaining, there's a few hands on hippers out there and they're struggling to get it out of their own danger zone.
And this is the fourth tackle in the game. Look how bunched they are. They're really curbing their options in attack here. It's been all one-out stuff. They're going to have to kick now.
Not only curbing their options, but becoming very predictable for the defence. So the turnover of possession off the kick. And Heron it is. Right on the halfway mark, the tackler Chris Johns. Walford. 16-12. St George with 3 tries to 2. Stevens lumbers up towards the 40-metre line. Tallis. Joint tackle there by Lazarus and Andrew G. Brown shows it a couple of times, running across the park, and gets it back eventually to his captain, Mark Coyne. Coyne is on the 20-metre line. This is the last tackle, and Coyne goes himself, works the blind side, kicked the head by St George's Ricky Walford, and taken into touch. It'll come out to the 20 for the restart. The scoreline, 16-12, the Dragons.
On the last footy show.
God, it's after 9:30.
Got a new nickname for you, mate. Lantern, they call you now.
Why is that, Willie?
Always getting carried, not real bright.
Well, he's been known to tell a few lies. His nose growing in through the week.
Hey, Billy!
Thanks, Kevy.
Born in Rockhampton, mate.
Was Karen born there too, seeing her twins would be a chance?
I'm definitely single.
Would you like a boyfriend? Yeah? You're definitely a free willy.
Come on, Dirk, go get that in there. Hurry up.
And Wayne Bennett. Gary Belcher.
Yes, Ray. Brian Smith down here preparing Tony Priddle to get him back on the field at some stage.
Blake gets a pass away. Wolford gets inside the 20-metre line. Pulled down 11 out. They spread to the left fast. Then Stevens for Hardy and Tallis. Tallis scores. The Dragons, they're going to win it now. We can say that with a bit of surety. 20 points to 12. Beautiful stuff. And Phil Blake again played a major part.
Yeah, but the Broncos are gone here. Look, they're not even onside. They're all offside. And the good quick hands by St George. Draw and pass, draw and pass. There'll be a hole somewhere. There it is, and Tallis on the charge. They weren't going to stop him.
Very good advantage played by the referee, Greg McCallum. They were all offside. In the end, it's Alan Langer who doesn't come up in the line. He provides the space. Beautiful hands there. And the ball to Gordon Tallis. He was on the fly, but if they could have kept that ball going, there had to be, as Paul pointed out, a gap somewhere. And it all came from the bust down the right-hand side. A beautiful ball to Ricky Walford. Took them 40 metres down. And Gordon Tallis, he scored a great try against Penrith last week, and he's backed it up with a double today.
Worrying time for the defending premiers. 20 points to 12.
Well, it is. I mean, if East and South were to have wins this weekend, Brisbane would be running dead last on 1 point in the comp.
2 from 4 for Ian Heron. Right in front for Ian Heron. Doesn't raise the pulse rate all that much. 22 points to 12. And it was Phil Blake that went to the right and gave that pass.
Yeah, it looked forward, didn't it? But it's on the board. Read about it in the paper tomorrow, and now Brisbane with under 9 minutes to go. It's too big a task for them, and I'm not going to write them off again.
Gary, I was drawing you into a comment on the contrast in coaching styles when that try started to unfold.
Yes, you were, Ray. Well, Wayne Bennett's up in the stand. He's still dieting on fingernail sandwiches as the last few weeks. Brian Smith up and down the sideline like an expectant father, but I suppose the baby just came in the form of that Gordon Tallis try.
Talking Gordon Tallis, what an exciting prospect he really is. Wayne Bennett up in the crowd there. The elevated viewpoint on the game. I just wonder, when I look at Brisbane, what changes Wayne Bennett has on offer. And Gary, you'd know better than anybody what changes has he got on offer.
Well, for a start, he's got Steve Renouf coming back next week.
Yeah.
Some form being found in the second, certainly for Gavin Allen. I know that Paul Hoff has been playing very well, but I wouldn't suggest that Julian O'Neill is going to lose his spot, that's for sure. I really think that it's not a matter of changing too many players, it's a matter of getting these players back on deck.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think that Wayne Bennett is the kind of coach to make wholesale changes. He can't be that wrong in picking his best 13. I know that they won't have won a game in 3 if they do happen to lose this one tonight, as it looks as though will be the case. The biggest attraction in any coach is loyalty. He's always had that with these players. I think they'll rise to the occasion. And I'm sure that we're not going to see many new faces in this top side.
Ball played by Brett Galia. And now Langer shoots the ball out to the left, trying to get to the extremity quickly, something they haven't done tonight. Mainly because, as Sterlo has pointed out so often, they've been bunched on this end of the park. How many times have you heard us say that Brisbane, they're hard to defend against because they can score a try from inside their own 20. And they do that normally on a quick turnover of possession, and they'll stretch the ball to the extremes very quickly. They haven't had that option, mate. Oh, here's a chance for Brisbane if they get the bounce. Well, Willie Khan, he had the chance.
Yes, he got the bounce but couldn't hang on to it. Maybe he could have put this on the toe. He was onside. The other player there, Plath, was offside, but Khan came through at pace, couldn't handle the footy. Would have made it interesting with 5 or 6 to go. I think Brisbane has simply been outplayed tonight by a very committed St George side. Remember, they were down 6-0 and straight away to the 14-6 lead. They've shown a lot of skill and a very tough defensive effort by them tonight. Had some outstanding players. Jason Stevens, the man with the football there, has had a blinder, and they've all played very well.
Yeah, that's exactly the case, isn't it? Attacking-wise, many times you're only allowed to play as well in that area as what your opposition allows you to. And St George, they've been relentless.
Goulet crosses the halfway line. Wayne Collins is out there for St George in 22. The reserve grade hooker's jumper on his back at the moment. Sailor with some work to do. The chase is good. Sailor's away from them. Straightens it up. Ah, good play by Wendell Sailor. 15 out from his own line. Johnny Plath. That's Willie Kahn. Closest thing he's seen to open space all night, Willie Kahn. G. About 4.5 minutes of this match to go. Mark Hone has been a standout amongst the forwards in the second half since he came on. Kerrod Walters now. Glenn Lazarus slides the pass around the corner for Willie Kahn. Dragging off his legs as Goulet. Over the top was Coyne. Sailor passes for Langer. Langer grubber kicks ahead. And St George with Ian Heron, a little knock on. So they've brought the mistake they were looking for, and that's of course the advantage of the kick. Some blood coming from the nose of Ian Heron. The kick down low, it can give you a couple of options, and that provided one of them, a mistake from the opposition. Just told by my director it's Ian Heron's eye that's bleeding, not the nose. The Langer plays at 10 metres out. Andrew G goes towards the line before finding Willie Kahn. Kahn finds John Platt, and Platt slams it down on the line. That's a try. That's a try for Brisbane.
Well, one thing about the Broncos, they won't lay down, will they? I know there's only a couple of minutes remaining, but they'll get the ball back from the kick-off, and who knows what can happen. This is another good try by them. Andrew G thunders up. Some good offloading here. Willie Kahn takes it to them. Now, Platt's got plenty of work to do. There's a 400 St George players there, but finally gets the ball down on the line, and they're still alive. Slight chance.
Yeah, good work here from Willie Kahn to get inside his man Mark Coyne. A few players to pick from. Looked like Maybon was nearly going to hold Plath up, but he finally got the ball down, as Ray Warren pointed out, on the line. All it needs to be. Does score some tries when he comes on. Is John Plath.
What, Rose, would you write the Broncos off with 2 minutes remaining in possession of the footy?
No, because they're a great side, but the way they're playing tonight...
I mean, they don't deserve to win the football match.
No, that's a fair call.
Saints have outplayed them, but my word, it'll be interesting last couple.
I'll put it this way, I'd like to have the 13-8 on offer out in the red centre. 22-16, the kick to come. Julian O'Neill doesn't seem as though he's concerned about getting this over and done with a great deal of urgency, but he has kicked the goal. That might be more important than everything. 22 points to 18. 2 minutes. Can they score?
And St George walking back to the halfway line.
He'll blow time out.
Yeah, he's calling them up now. They know what they're up against. They know what a great side Brisbane are.
37 3,400 here tonight. Brisbane 1 reserve grade, 8-6. And the Crushers Colts beat the Brisbane Colts 40 points to 16 in a curtain raiser. Goldthorpe with the long-awaited restart. Rugby League provides a few miracles. Is there one about to unfold?
Well, it was interesting there. McCallum never signalled time off, yet the Brisbane timekeeper, he wants Brisbane to win. He gave him 15 seconds off. Stop the clock.
Second play for Brisbane. They're inside their 20-metre line. As Alan Langer gets a pass away, miraculous pass. He knows they've got to squeeze the ball on every opportunity. John Platt. Oh, he took a chance. No knock on. Galia. Back and away to Walters. Now to Khan. Listen to the crowd. Sailor. And now number 29 is on for Brisbane. Is that Morganson? I'll take a gamble, but I think I'm wrong. Langer. A grubbing kick taken by Jeff Hardy. Pain on the face of Alan Langer. Coyne. Langer, was he high?
Yeah, he was, and I'm not sure if it was a forearm, but Andrew G not happy about the penalty. Coyne takes him dummy half here. Now, Langer comes in about third man on the tackle. Comes in late here. Oh, there it was, right around the chops.
Siren acknowledged the end of the game. St. George have won it 22 points to 18. Great performance by the Dragons. I think Fatty said it all when he pointed out that really Brisbane didn't deserve to win should they have scored a miracle try in the last 2 minutes. But the Dragons have won 22-18. ANZ Stadium is becoming a happy hunting ground for St George. Maybe they wouldn't mind if John Quayle brought the grand final here. 37,700 odd. They saw the Dragons win 22-18 here for the second time in succession. Great win by them. Some injuries to the Broncos. We'll find out more about that with Sterlo and Fatty when they wrap it up in just a few moments from back here at the ANZ Stadium. Don't go away. The sport keeps coming to you on the 9 Network.
Again, St George have rained on the Brisbane Parade here at ANZ Stadium in more ways than one, winning their first meeting since the grand final, 22 points to 18. In the end, a 4-try-3 victory. Phil Blake once again showing his scoring prowess, grabbing 2. Coyne and Tallis tries, Heron 3 from 5. And for Brisbane, Madison, Saylor and Plath got tries. No misses for the Brisbane kickers. And Paul Thornton tonight, St George on their merits.
One of their finest hours, Peter. They did it the hard way. They came from behind, down 6-0 early and weren't playing very well. But they just stuck to it. Their forwards played a great game up front. They played it hard and tough the way they should, and their backs, like Phil Blake, finished it off for them. A great win, one of their best ever.
Yes, to beat Brisbane, you have to play well up front, and no surprise to see our man of the match once again, a man who's featured already this year. Our best is now with Gary Belcher.
Yeah, thanks, Sterlo. Well, Jason Stevens has our thumbs up as the $1,000 Ansett Australia man of the match. Jason, you've beaten the Broncos at home. Do you think that's a big psychological battle?
Yeah, it is, although I'd be happy to beat them anyway. They're a very classy side. We just managed to get forward on them today and came home with the points.
Now, your own form, you're pretty happy with that coming up in a few weeks' time, some rep games?
Oh, yeah, I'm not really worried about that. I'm just worried about playing well with St George and holding my position in the side.
Now, can you give away the coach's tactics? Just how do you beat the Broncos?
Mate, you throw the ball around, try and play the game. Geez, you got me off guard with that one. But just try and get forward on those fellas, you know, and I think that's what we did, and the backs did the rest.
Good on you, Jason. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Ansett Australia and Channel 9.
Yes, he is an exciting talent. I don't like to put too much pressure on young players, but no surprise to see him go away Kangaroo Tour at the end of the year. Footy tab tonight on Pick the Score, 22 points to 18, $160.60. And of course on Sunday our cameras go to the Sydney Football Stadium. South Sydney desperate for a win. They have the opportunity against Canterbury at 6:30 p.m, but please check your local guides for that one. And we are back, Paul. I'll let you handle this one.
Well, the footy show starts back on Sunday week. We'd love to get you in the audience. We can probably fit, what, 2,000 or 3,000 in this next week. So give us a ring at Channel 9, 965 2625. And we can't wait for the footy show, Sterlo.
Mate, the only way to start a Sunday. We put rabbits on the spot. A quick tip for the slipper tomorrow.
Well, unfortunately, for the connections of Mr. Vitale, I'm sticking with him. So it has got some weight to carry now.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a late scratching tomorrow morning. I'm going Lord Jim. I think he's a good chance tomorrow. But, of course, plenty of sport coming up this weekend. Don't miss tomorrow, Eastern Creek, the qualifying in the bike races out there. 8 races from Rose Hill and a couple from Melbourne as well, the legs of the double down there. And, of course, coming up after Nightline tonight, a shortened version of Nightline, will be the Test cricket, the third and final deciding test in South Africa in Durban. Australia taking on the South Africans. Going to be a great contest over the next 5 days. For now, on behalf of the entire wide world of sports rugby league team from the ANZ Stadium until Sunday afternoon, we wish you a very good night.
Walters to Kevin Walters. And across now. Madison. Madison throws the dummy. Goes through. And Madison scores the try. Michael Hancock take a bow. Blake goes for dummy half. And he goes to Hancock and scores the try.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.